I may be down, but I'm not out.
Way to go, buddy. It took us 3 days to make that potato salad. 3 days!
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Binging with Babish, where this week we're taking a look at potato salad. Moreover, how it could possibly take 3 days to make potato salad. Personally, I just think the guy was trying to make an unrepentant SpongeBob feel guilty, but it gave me an idea, and that was to pickle the potatoes. I had heard of a few restaurants pickling their potatoes before making French fries, and I figured that lacto-fermented funk could go really well in potato salad. So we're packing our potatoes into mason jars and topping them with a little cabbage bonus topper. This is just going to bring a little extra flavor to the party, and then we're going to weigh them down with some fermentation weights, because any potatoes that float above the brine are subject to oxidation. Speaking of which, we are making a brine that is 2 1/2 tablespoons of kosher salt to 4 cups of water. We're going to stir that up real nice until everybody's dissolved, and then pour the brine over top of the potatoes. This is about as simple as pickling gets. Once we've got those filled up to the bottom lip of the jars, we're going to affix our lids. I've got these dope little airlock lids for fermentation, but bear in mind that you can do this entire process in a bowl with some plastic wrap if you want. Just make sure that everybody's submerged. Use a glass bowl. But however you do it, we are letting these guys sit for 3 days straight. I obviously don't feel like waiting that long, so with a snap of my editor fingers, we got ourselves some lacto-fermented potatoes. Now, that stark white mush that we see in the bowl strikes me as the absolute standard potato salad. That is half a minced onion, 1 rib of minced celery, half a cup of mayo, 2 tablespoons of white wine vinegar, a pinch of sugar, a generous sprinkling, maybe 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, an inexplicable and roughly chopped hard-boiled egg, a little kosher salt and freshly ground pepper to taste, and you've got the basic dressing for basic potato salad. But we can't have the color or variety that comes from skin-on potatoes, so we need to go with some simply cubed russets that I similarly pickled for 3 days. I'm going to simply drain these and boil them for about 15 minutes or until completely tender, and then once cooled, add them to our potato salad dressing. You can obviously substitute regular boiled potatoes in this recipe if you want. We're going to give them a tender stir, a gentle dump into our serving bowl, and there you have it, the absolute standard American potato salad, aka a bowl of mayo with some potatoes in it. So naturally it tastes quite good. Do the pickled potatoes make much of a difference? Not really, because especially after only 3 days, the tang is pretty subtle, so it's getting drowned out by the mayonnaise. Why don't we try a bit more sophisticated potato salad courtesy of undisputed food god J. Kenji Lopez Alt. So after boiling our potatoes to toothsome completion, we are finally chopping half of 1 red onion, about 2 or 3 tablespoons of sour cream, a deluge of freshly chopped dill, or about 3 tablespoons worth, a tablespoon or 2 of white wine vinegar, a few pinches of kosher salt to taste, some freshly ground pepper. We're going light on the seasoning because we're going to have to add more down the line, some slimly sliced scallions, and I like a few finely chopped chives. Probably doesn't do anything, but I don't know, I had extra chives. I mean, look at all the chives I have. We're mixing all this together before forgetting that we almost forgot to add a tablespoon and a half of olive oil, along with 1 large fork handleful of whole grain mustard. We're then mixing that to combine and then adding our boiled and cooled potatoes. I feel like I'm saying the word potato a lot. Let's come up with another name for these things. How about Scoodle-doos? No, we'll just call them potatoes. Anyway, we're mixing our potatoes into the dressing and putting them in our serving bowl, and there you have it, the best potato salad in the observable universe. Let's give it a try and see if using pickled potatoes made a difference, and the answer is kinda. They've definitely got that fermentation funk, but it's getting lost underneath that flavorful dressing. I've only got one more potato salad trick up my sleeve, and that is to go full Guy Fieri and make a deep fried potato salad. That really resembles something more like patatas bravas, so we're just deep frying our potatoes for about 8 minutes, just enough time to make some old school mortar and pestle aioli. We're starting by crushing 2 large garlic cloves into a paste using the mortar and pestle. Then once you got yourself a nice smooth paste, we're going to add 2 egg yolks. This is going to add a distinct egg yolk-like quality to our aioli. Then using the pestle, I think that's what this part is called, we're just going to mix up the egg yolks with the garlic until they are well combined, and then while mixing rapidly, we're going to slowly drizzle in some neutral flavored oil like canola or vegetable until an emulsion forms. Then once your aioli has outgrown its mortar, I think that's what that part is called, we're taking the party back to my place being a larger bowl. Now we're going to bring some more flavorful oil to the party, that is some olive oil. Any second now, here it comes. 1, 2, 3, there we go. You can switch off oils as necessary to your taste. I like a mixture of both, but either way we are whisking constantly while very, very slowly adding oil until a thick emulsion forms. Maybe about a half a cup of combined oils for for every egg yolk. Then once we have a nice thick aioli, we need to taste it to make sure it's not too harsh, and then season to taste with kosher salt. By this time, your potatoes should be done frying, deeply golden brown on the outside and tender on the inside. We're draining those on paper towels before placing in a bowl, tossing with a little bit of kosher salt and smoked paprika, which is going to get us a little bit closer to patatas bravas. Start the music, make sure that everybody's dancing, and then pour out onto a serving plate. And then we're just going to top these simply with aioli and some scallions if we can get the aioli to come out of the friggin' bottle. Come on, here we go. Perfect drizzle in 3, 2, 1. Oh, okay. It's fine, my kitchen ceiling's been looking really boring lately. We're topping these guys with a smattering of scallions, and there you have it, something that can almost very charitably be called potato salad. And it was at this moment that I remembered that Yukon potatoes do not respond well to deep frying. The flavors were good, but the texture was all off. It was gummy. So maybe it's time to take this recipe back to its inspiration, which is pickled French fries. There's a restaurant called Al's in San Francisco where they pickle their potatoes before making them into French fries. So I thought I would try just that with the fry, freeze, then refry method. If you want to see how to do that, click the link in the upper right hand corner right now, and then toss with a little bit of kosher salt while still warm, and let's see how they taste. And I've got to say, fermented French fries are an interesting snack. They're sour and funky and barely even need to be dipped in ketchup, and I'd really recommend that you make all the previous recipes with normal potatoes unless you're trying to make a sponge feel bad.